Hello everyone. Well, whoever's there, I can't really tell. So, how is everyone? Have you all been standing outside doing the old clappy clap clap? So, we've got 2 of these. Hello Tristan. And we're going to do these to look like one I've done previously, which is like that. So if anyone knows, they'll know that this is the reigning 17.5 world champion at EWS, which is Billy Kavanagh. He's not reigning champion. He's undisputed champion because they canned the class. So he won the first year of it, and cannot be beaten. Well, cannot be overthrown. That's the right word. Oh, Matt. So with these, it's more to do with the. Turn that down to there. I won't get in trouble with the Facebook police. So with these, it's more a case of just doing these are more like one colour wonders almost, because they'd just be lights and grills. There's a famous, well, I say famous, a painter I know, Bitty Designs, so Stefano, and he showed me how to do this, and it's he did it for ease basically, and it's done with a paintbrush. So you build it up slowly with a paintbrush, and then do the colouring in bits with an airbrush. So first of all, I've got to cut all the lights and window frames out, and then also I did this one a couple of nights ago. This was for me, and I'm a bit disappointed with it. It looks a bit too bland. But I also thought I've been asked to do window tint, and I've never done window tint, so I thought I would do window. I practice almost anything I practice is on mine. Hi, Chris. So I'm going to try and do the window tint on my own shell. There's no point trying to do it on a shell you've already used, because the windows would have all sorts of, you can never get them clean enough. I was directed by Mr. Betts, and I bought some headlight window tinting film, which kind of gives the right effect, but it adds an absolute ton of weight to the shell. So I'm going to try window tinting, but I don't know how to do it. I'm not going to say where it's coming from, but the person or persons that got me the laptop I'm working off of has now acquired a better webcam for me. So this one here at the moment is a cheap one off of Argus. Other catalogue places are available, and I think it was like 18 quid. So, and it's done really well, but Facebook only allows 720p upload, whereas YouTube and Twitch they allow HD basically. So soon all of this will be in HD. I mean, I bet you can't wait to see how actually dirty this is, because at the moment it looks really, really tidy. So you better see the clarity of stuff will change, hopefully. Also, I don't know, what's the word? It'll give me a kick in the particulars, because I'll have to up my game a little bit, because everything will be in HD. So if I did have the odd sort of bit I'm trying to hide from the camera, I won't be able to anymore. So hopefully it'll give me a kick of enthusiasm. So we're going to do window tints on this one. That's later though, but not now. Yeah, and you see with this one, I used that is. I can't get too close because it upsets the camera. Look. This is the candy that I use. Stains through. It's a very odd colour. I was quite pleased with it. This is supposed to be orange, and there's no way that's orange. That's like a sort of 2p coin sort of finish to it. I'm about to run out of. I've probably got 10 shells worth, if that, left of my chrome, of the good stuff. So I might have to start limiting that, because I can't seem to get it anywhere at the moment. I do have this stuff. It smells like pear drops and makes the afternoon go much quicker. Woo. But I don't think it does the liquid mask any favours, so I don't really want to use it. Oh, no, that's just a fizzy drink. Hello, Abby. Hello, Simon. Hello, Ian. Hello, Lee. I don't know who's watching on YouTube, and well, actually, I can have a look because I've got it on my laptop now, so I can switch between the two. No idea how that works. Let's go back. That's better. There's 11 people watching on Facebook, which is good. I'm going to start sort of pushing slightly towards trying to get you to move to Twitch or YouTube for me soon, because obviously the definition will be better. Ooh, up to 12. So hopefully, once I get the new webcam up and running, I had that last night. I set that so that you can all see the workspace. There, you can see how bad it is in here. I then moved it to like there. See, there's my knees. Come on. What time is it in South Africa at the moment? And Abby, what time is it in... Oh, God, the chesty old memory now. I've forgotten where you're from. That's really rude of me, sorry. I know it's a little island somewhere. Bugger, so I've completely forgotten where that is. And it's somewhere really cool. Aruba! Thank you. Sorry, you've written it down. I didn't guess. So it's 4:45 in the afternoon. And it's 10:15 in South Africa. Wow. It's just 9:15 here. Well, nearly. Hashtag worldwide. So I've moved my camera, I moved my light source, and it has made a huge difference to the quality of the broadcast. Not the content. So I've got all the window frames to cut out and all the lights and grills to cut out. And then everything else is freehand. I won't be using a knife on anything. So it's kind of a waste of liquid mask, really. But I preempted this, and this afternoon these have been sitting out in the garden in the sunshine. So they've dried naturally in the sun. Both coats. And Nigel. Oh, sorry, PM. Morning. So that's South Africa. It's 10:15 in the evening. Only an hour ahead. I'm very well, Nigel. I've got two very upset little kids at the moment. They've run out of tether. I think they're getting. I actually said they're kind of getting a little bit bored. It's only taken what 7 weeks. It's like Do you mean, Morn, do you mean like, how do I not, the knife cutting through the shell, you mean? You mean like thickness of, so when you have crash damage later, that's something you've got to learn. You've got to learn how much pressure to put on the knife. Literally, you're just dragging it across the. You're just dragging it across the surface. Literally, if you just drop the blade on the shell, and then just literally just a little bit of pressure to make sure the blade is still attached to the shell. Hold the shell up so that it can't. You're not pushing down on it crazily. I mean, I've had it. I did it when I was first learning. I did a shell and I spent absolutely hours on it. I was so chuffed with it. Took it to the track. First corner, first lap, first sweeper. Caught the inside and ripped the entire side off, straight down a cut line. So, with my own shells, my own design, well, something similar to this. This is a bit of a random one. I just was practicing. I don't go near the arches on my own personal ones, just so they just because I'm not a semi-pro driver like some of the ones I paint for. And I tend to hit stuff a lot. Oh, Graham. So it's just make sure you have a new blade in every time you use a. So these are the ones Graham doesn't like. See, I like number 11s, and Graham's weird and likes number 10s. So it is a case of you've got to figure out which ones you like and which ones you don't. The reason I like 11 is because the blade length's a bit longer, so you've got more of a point. You know, I just feel like I can control it better. Well, as much as I can control a remote control car. So, and then it's literally it's like drawing with it, like pretending it's a pencil almost, and you'll feel when you go over a cut line. So when you've gone, like, so I've just done the down lines there, and now when I go along the outside of this window frame, I'll be able to feel the blade will go through the cut lines. It's a really odd thing to explain, but there and there and there, you can just feel it tag as it goes through the cut lines. But a new blade each shell, because as soon as the blade starts to blunt, you end up having to push harder, and not only does it give you a crappy cut finish, it means you push harder and damage the shell. You're literally just tracing round what you're trying to cut. And these shells are for my good friend, my pit buddy, Billy, and he got a bit upset because he was absolutely trashing my shells in maybe let's be diplomatic here, a meeting, and he said, "Can you just do me something that's not too much?" Basically, he was upset that he was trashing my work, and I was actually quite pleased because it was giving me a lot of practice. Because practice is key. And so I watched what Bitty Designs was doing, and I copied his. So he basically just got this brush effect design, so it doesn't have any physical cut lines. But as Billy has now got slightly more capable, I'm not going to give him a compliment. Ish. I now do lights and grills, because I can't have my pit buddy walking around with a sticker kit on it. That's cool. Can do that. It's just trying to figure out how cheap it is to post it to South Africa. That's the killer. So I've got 3 shells to go to New Zealand. So that's going to be interesting. See how much that's going to cost. And I've got 3 shells to go to Italy. But also, I don't know what the shipping at the moment. I haven't even looked at it to see if company bear in mind with this Corona thing going around, I don't understand why parcels are allowed to go between countries, because this is going to cause grief. Unless they're quarantined for a few days. So I've got to figure out how to get three shells to New Zealand and 3 to Italy. And then one up to my good friend Nigel. Well, saying that, Nigel, if they release the restrictions on Saturday a bit, or Sunday, you might be able to pop down and pick them up. Or I could pop it up to you. That's probably better, isn't it? Rather than you coming out. Because you're one of those infirm old people, aren't you? Sorry, that was very insensitive of me. That probably wasn't loud enough for you to hear. I said infirm. I like Nigel. Hopefully Nigel likes me still. So I'm being posh here, and I'm putting yes, it does happen occasionally. I'm putting a secondary pinstripe in the window frame. Cool, Matt. That'd be cool. So if you watch, well, how am I going to do this? Am I going to do? No, I'm going to do it the other way around. Sorry. Or am I? I should really have thought this through before I started. Right, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to pick that bit out. And try and leave the pinstripe, which just picked up a bit. When it tends to pick up a little bit in a corner, just go to the other end and start peeling the other way, and hopefully the other way, oh, there we go, it just picks out without too much grief. And now I can tidy up the bit where I went a little bit lazy, Susan, with my cutting knife. It's basically, that'd be cool, Nigel, because you know where I am, and we can sort of socially distance. It's brilliant. I mean, most people at race are socially awkward anyway, so social distancing is not actually that tricky. No offence. Hello, Matthew. Have you made me a pizza yet? So Mr. Prigmore's been making his own pizza in his garden, which I'm very envious of. Well, actually, no, I'm just being incredibly lazy, and I want him to cook me one. But it's just the transit getting it down to me. That's the problem. Nigel, have you got that Harder and Steinbach working properly yet? That's how they pronounce it. So I've got the window frame as it is, and then I've done a small bead all the way around the inside of about 3 mil. I've done it. Hey, I could do it on the show you on this one because I did it in white. So it's got a secondary pinstripe around the black pinstripe, well, the back of the window frame. But I've decided I don't like it in white. It looks a bit Essex. So I'm going to have to come up with a different. I might See, because Billy here has two main colours. Actually, it's three main colours. No, two. And it's the Irish flag, which I only just realised is the Irish flag. But I went into using the bright colours, so it doesn't really look like an Irish flag anymore. How are you coping with a 0.2 needle in an airbrush? That must be like literally a pencil dick size. Because my which one's this? My Sparmax has got a 3mm, and that's pretty small. And then I think the Iwata, someone will correct me if I'm right. I think the Iwata is a 3.5 standard. Oh, James. Oh, David. How's everyone? I'm going to need help. I'm going to need something to talk about because now I've got this new streaming thing. It tells me how many hours I've done. And I've done 11 hours in 3 nights. So I've kind of talked myself out of stuff to talk about. Obviously, I could do the painting side of it. But if anyone's got any topics they want me to babble on about in broken English, with a little bit of a stammer, let me know. I'm trying to be confident and project oneself in a coherent manner, and not swear too much. You should more if you just send Basil a message, as in me, on my Facebook page. I should be able to get your picture of your hopefully a body shell and not a picture of you. I suppose I've made it as a professional painter if I start getting dick pics. And then I retired very quickly. Right, so that one's had its windows cut and the pinstripes are done on the window frames. I've just got to do the lights, which should take a couple, and grill, which should take a couple of seconds. Then I can move on to the other one and then we can start. So it's just a case of being slightly confident with the knife and making sure you cross your cut lines. Because if you leave a gap when you try and pull that out, and it'll take half the bonnet section with it if you don't do it properly. And the trick I've learned to do, I'm not going to say dead straight lines because there never are. Oh, come on, Colin, you're asking me all sorts of twitchy questions that I don't understand. What does an AVG mean? I've now got 13 subscribers to Twitch. YouTube, I had none, and now I've got 39. And Facebook, I'm sitting at 810 likes and 900 and something followers. So it's slowly building. I don't know if it's just the Facebook lot sort of migrating from over to the other two mediums. Well, Colin very kindly sort of what was the thing you did? You took out my one only joke out of 4 hours and put it into a little clip, and that was good. If I do another funny, can you let me know, and then I can. Although it's probably not likely to be tonight or this month. When doing curves, use your pinky as a brace. I see, like this, the front grille. I'm not going to try and do it in one bit because you'll never get the corners right. And all it is a series of straight cuts. So get the light right so I can see what I'm doing as well. So I do one cut that way, I do one that way, one that way, I just burped, sorry, and then I'll do one that way. Then I put my finger on the front splitter and run my finger along the splitter and the knife at the same time, and in theory that gives me a straight line. And then repeat with a slightly bigger distance. And that's it. That'd be nice to send paint work out to South Africa. So I'll have paint in Germany, Italy, Hong Kong, Australia, and South Africa. That's not bad going. No, not Australia, New Zealand. That's offended everyone in New Zealand again. Sorry. Keep getting them muddled up. They are technically the same. They sound the same. They are the same, aren't they, really? I know that probably upset them all 5 of them. And that's the rear brake lights. Oh, I have a new Twitch follower. So that's another alert. That's good. I'm not going to tell you how many times I've been checking it just to see what's happening. I've been finding it quite entertaining, actually. Because I wanted to keep the Facebook forum or feed, because this is where I've started on. I've had to go to like this thing called Restream, which is what now you see in the top there. That's interaction, that is. Look, I even got so I have to pay them to let me stream between the 3 mediums. So it doesn't actually work out that cheap either. So I am finding this quite entertaining at the moment. This is my sort of like my lockdown thing. This is shell number 34. And this is shell number 35 of lockdown. So I don't think that's too bad, for bear in mind what's going on in the world. It's nearly a shell every 2 days. And for the year, I was doing really well. January, I'd really busted a nut, and I was really starting to, because I wanted to hit 300 shells for the year, give myself like a target to try and aim at, get myself motivated. Because last year I managed 227, so I thought, well, there might be a chance that 300 is kind of realistic. And what we're in now, we're now in May, and it has slowed down a ton, but I've just hit, I think I'm in the 105 or 106 in. So if it had carried on, if January, February, and March had carried on like they were going, I was nearly up to a ton then anyway. So I would have got to the 300, but I just can't see it happening now. Right, so that one's cut. Because it's literally windows and lights and grills, I'm not going to change the blade because it's not even really done anything yet. But I don't. This is the point I was going to say, was for straighter lines. I know I got sidetracked when I started talking about it. Put your blade where you're starting, and then look physically at where you're going to finish, and then just drag the blade to the finish point. And for some reason, it always ends up where I'm aiming. Not when I do RC though. I actually did a bit of YouTube stalking this afternoon, and I found an airbrush artiste, and I had a look over his page, and the dude had like 24,000 followers, which I thought was insane when you see how bad his art was. I know I really shouldn't judge, but I do. And I thought, wow, that's really impressive numbers for really quite average work. I have actually, I'm still working at the moment during the week at proper work because I'm a picture framer, and I frame artwork for what I would consider to be a proper artist, airbrush artist, and yeah, that's correct, Colin. It's true. It is, isn't it? If you look, yeah, it does make sense. So I've been today. I've had the artist in the shop. He's an awkward bloke anyway. He used to be a tattooist. He's a good friend of mine, and he's going to teach me how to do crash helmets. So I'm going to learn how to do crash helmet painting, because that's having spent my teens and 20s go-karting to a fairly high level. I've always wanted to do crash helmets, and so I've decided, I thought, bollocks to it, I'm actually going to learn. Rather than just say I'm going to do it, I actually want to do it now. They've got to be way easier than doing these. So all it is just do some cuts on the outside and then spray it. It's not like cut it on the inside and dislocate your as you're trying to do all sorts of weird contortions with your wrists. So I'm gonna teach myself how. Well, I'm not. He's gonna teach me how to do it. And then, because like the only one in my background is my family. I'm fourth generation to work in the same shop, and we sell art materials. So I spend all day selling paint, knife blades, airbrushes, etc., etc., and then spend all evening watching paint dry. And we've just before this lockdown things started, I'd cleared a big space in my workshop, and we'd started doing pottery classes. So the lady I know, a friend of mine, comes in and teaches 2 days a week a class of pottery. Well, now I've got this space sorted out for the pottery class. I'm trying to get my friend to teach me crash helmet spraying there, and then he can then use the space to teach other people. That's the end game anyway. But he has got no motivation. I had to kick him in the particulars to get him to think about it. He's one of these, no, I don't know. Whereas I'm like, yep. And then I try and figure out how to do it. Badly by the normal experiences. So, what's everyone's opinion on? This should get the conversation started rather than me waffling on. What's everyone's opinion on lockdown coming to a close by the looks of it? Does anyone seem to think that obviously the most important thing is, choose my words carefully here, is that we get racing again, from a racing point of view, obviously. Not like real life and stuff. How do you think it's going to... If the lockdown is eased over the next couple of weeks and stuff, I mean, we're in May, so what do you reckon? If it would be the end of May, beginning of June, they might start relaxing a little bit. What do you reckon? Do you reckon August we might get outdoors? Bear in mind, then we've also then got to go through the pain of all the tracks will be absolutely filthy. But what are everyone's thoughts? Do you reckon we'll get some sort? Obviously nothing of any note's going to happen. It's just going to be club meetings. But what is everyone's thoughts? Do you reckon we'll get any racing in, or is it a case of just? In my head, I've decided that outdoor season's just done. And I'm now waiting for EWS, which is the indoor series I like to do. Because that's the only one I can see realistically working, because it's got a big enough rostrum. I just wonder what everyone else's thoughts are. Because I'll prattle on and get myself into all sorts of trouble if I can't start talking about random stuff. Obviously, without this pinstripe round the window frames, I would have done this in about half the time. And I can now feel the knife getting a little bit growly. It's just not running as smooth. So Ian, you're going to go do MICC this winter. You won't do EWS. I'm too close not to go to EWS. That's a shame, Morn. So, How long is the outdoor season for South Africa? Is it sort of, because here we would have now be into the weekend just gone would have been round one of the national series, and then was it 3 weeks before that? It would have been the Clubmans. So we have Clubmans and nationals. So Clubmans is 17.5 Blinky, F1 and Fronty, and then nationals is 13.5 Blinky and Mod. Oh, is that really cool? You're really lucky if you've got that. That's got tarmac, hasn't it? Indoors. It's always absolutely enormous. Very jealous. And what class do you run when you race? So Ian, you're going to go to MICC because you want to run 17.5 Blinky, yeah? Or what? You don't like 13.5 Blinky? Is it too quick? Yeah, Ian, Nigel, you got a right touch there. You won that raffle. Lucky sod. I had no luck this year. I only won a steering servo and a lipo. And some other stuff. Actually, I did really well. Free entry, though, that's like... that's a question you need to ask, actually. You need to say, if it doesn't go ahead, does that... I can't see why they can't roll that on to next year. God willing. Could you imagine trying to social distance at... Oh yeah, you did. You won a body show and a year's racing, or winter's racing. Can you imagine trying to social distance at rug races if that happens? I can't see that working. I mean, you pit under each other's armpits near enough, and then the rostrum is like a little bit too cosy. Unless they tell us all to go up on that top level. No, you don't joke, Ian. I do 17.5 at rug races. I think Blinky 13.5 is too fast for there. And the reason I stepped down, because I find 17.5 is actually quite hard to drive. The reason I did it at rugs was also because obviously if the outdoor season, which obviously it has, is doing it. So I will put my teeth back in and I'll carry on talking. Right, BRCA have reduced or got rid of boosted. So they brought in 17.5. So I thought, oh, well, okay, well, I'll give 17.5 a go during the winter to kind of get used to it for the summer. And I actually really quite enjoy it. It reminded me of GT12 in a straight line with the corner speed and fun of a touring car. So I actually quite liked it because I used to enjoy GT12. Oh, there's no harm in. I just get out of the way of the fast boys. It's like Jimmy Madison. He was lapping me twice in 17.5, and I was just like, what? It's a class for corner speed. I had a very dim view on that class, and I had to apologise. I don't know quite who to, but it's a lot harder class than I thought. I had quite a dim view on it.
Right here goes out to all the babies, mamas, baby mamas.
Yeah, see, MICC and EWS are going to be fine because their halls are enormous. It's just, I think it's going to struggle in some of the, and also you don't know what restrictions the government will put on the sports halls. You might find that they're not comfortable with us all turning up anyway. Something to consider. And you might think that EWS, I mean, that's a sports hall and a school, isn't it? I don't know. It's a question that I'm sure they'll be asking. Not really got any, none of my business. I can assume though. I'm just looking forward to being able to go down to my club track, which is Eastbourne. I mean, that's assuming that we're allowed to travel a little bit of distance. Well, see, Morton, I've just returned to X-Ray. I'd had a summer of driving an automatics, and as much as I enjoyed the automatics, I got offered a free X-Ray, so I very much took that. Team MHP, and it's a very well sorted X-Ray. Actually, it's probably one of the nicest cars I've driven. It actually handles very similar to the automatics I've got, but I don't need a degree in absolutely everything to be able to use it or build it. And when I go to the meetings, I want to spend time talking to everyone rather than spending elbow deep in rejigging everything on the gauges. Just my view. MICC is if the MICC is on, EWS is on, and Rug Races is on. If I'm not divorced by the end of lockdown anyway, I'll be divorced from going racing that much. So I've just decided that it's just a bit too far to go. I mean, most everyone stays over, and it's like, it's just a bit. Obviously, it's money as well, isn't it? Because if you spread yourself over 3 series, it's 3 sets of different. Everyone's on different tyres, so you can't use. Not that you'd want to use the same set of tyres at all the venues anyway, but you've got to have 3 different compounds. I know they're now hand out additives, so you haven't got to worry about buying your additives anymore. But it's expensive, nothing else as well. And I think we're in for a little bit of a shitstorm with this economic downturn that we're suddenly going to get shafted with. I can't understand why I'm listening on the radio and they're saying that, oh yeah, we're going to get all the shops back open again. I was like, well, show me which stupid what's-it's going to go out and go spend a fortune in a shop. Unless they're retired and on a really good pension, I can't see anyone being able to go out and spend like they did pre-lockdown. So you wonder how many I'm not worried for now. I'm worried for like 6 months' time when there's huge unemployment and life's not going to be very fun. And then trying to justify like what, 25 quid on a set of toy car tyres. I say toy car tyres because that's what my wife sort of understands. It's not like it's like, oh my, it's race tyres, but it doesn't compute. Alright, so I made a slight screw up there. It wasn't dead straight. So what I do is I always then put a cross on which line I think I've screwed up. So when I come to pull it out to paint it, I know roughly what's wrong, and I haven't completely forgotten because I won't remember which one it is that I've done it to. So if you ever see like a load of little star marks over my shells, it's because I wasn't particularly keen on the first cut, so I've either done a smoother line, which I've done with this one, or it's not finished on the right point. It helps in the long run when you're doing you're doing 10 shells at a time, because you never remember what you're doing. So it's much easier to write it down or mark it so you've got it as a flag. Alexander is very cool. So you run on tarmac indoors all year round? So Nigel, someone's got to make some money. That's the problem. In a perfect world, you'd say yeah. But somebody has to make some money somewhere. Everyone's got an angle. Hello, Darren. Oh, Darren. See, Darren started watching. Darren's on the Facebook. I can see he's watching. He probably won't say anything. I'm going to ask him a question though. When I know when if Eastbourne opens, are you going to run Clubman's national style classes, as in like 17.5, 13.5 mod at the club meeting, or are you going to would you still let boosted in if there are any? I was meant to text you that, but I couldn't be asked to write it down. I know that's probably a bit immaterial at the moment. What sort of temperature is South Africa in the summer? Or do you have like very cold winters? Or I mean, I've never been. So in the UK here, you have to have a wet car. I work on the assumption if I've been looking all week or all month to a race meeting and look out the window and it's wet, I'd never go racing ever. So I have a wet car and I'm like, well, I'm going racing. It just, if it's wet or dry, I don't really care. Although I'd need to come up with a more elegant situation, an elegant answer than just sticking a supermarket bag over my controller to keep it dry. Right, so that's all the cutting done. This is fairly straightforward. It's because I'm talking, that's why it's taken so long. 42 degrees. That's like, here in the UK, if it gets to early 30s, 31, 32, nothing happens here. Everything stops. Everyone starts complaining. I bet it doesn't rain very often though. It's probably melt as soon as it touches the tarmac. Right, so now we can get on to some fun bits rather than me talking lots because I put my mask on. So last night, one of the last things I did was... Why is that not working? I cleaned my guns out before I finished. So what I do is I cleaned my guns out, then I filled them both with the reducer. So that one's working. So why is that not working? What did that happen to that? Well, that must be blocked again. That's odd. That's coming out literally, I can't even hear the PSI. So what's blocked in there? So yesterday I looked really professional because when I went to use my brushes I realised I'd left them both as they were after I'd finished. So one was absolutely block solid, and the day before that my masking gun was blocked solid, so I looked really professional then as well. So this is just adding to the list of things to check before I come online in future. So why is that? The trigger. No, I still don't know what's wrong with that. Now I'm dropping bits. It's useful to get that while I can still see it. Oh! Well, it's collapsed. So me being raving about these guns, my gun's collapsed. The trigger's absolutely knackered. Right, there is a reason why these guns are cheap. Where is my kitchen roll? See, I could carry on with the other one. It's not awkward, it's life. It is kind of awkward. But this is why I do this. I don't just sort of go, there you are, this took me an hour and Billy BS my way through it. Yeah, but some of us, Nigel, aren't retired with massive great pensions. Well, that sounded really bitter then, sorry. Let's see if this comes out. If it's collapsed, that's actually pretty disappointing because this is fairly new. And it was fine when I. So that's the plunger, is it? There's me slagging it off. Do you know what? I hadn't actually taken this apart, so I didn't actually know. Where's the book? Has it actually got a? Because it's worked so well. There's me saying it's all fallen to pieces, and it hasn't. I just haven't read the instructions. I never read instructions anyway. So I always wait till something's broken or get someone else to figure it out. Because I'm a bit dyslexic. Right, so on the Iwata, you have your trigger button, which is attached to a trigger stick, and that goes down, and that's what lets the air up. I know, I'm really good at describing. And on this one, it turns out it's completely the opposite. So what I just said is broken actually isn't. So that's a little plunger, and then that has got a little. It sits in a little cradle, and that's what you push down onto the plunger. I'm sure there's a proper picture here, so I don't have to explain it like a. So you've got like a little hat, and then you've got a plunger, and on the Iwata that's actually attached. So that's why I just said, oh, it's broken, and it's not. They're actually two separate parts. The plunger sits in there, and then your hat sits on top. So the hat has obviously got stuck. So there's me swearing at it, and it's actually not busted. Right, that's working, and then that then sits into that channel. There we go. That actually makes sense now. I might as well do this properly. So that screws into there, that does that, that does that, that does that. Right, so that then goes, so this is very much like a traditional one. So you've got your spring, you've then got your and then that goes on like that, and then that goes into there. Don't think I win many awards for explaining stuff, I know. So that goes back into that. So you'll be able to watch this in HD soon. How awkward's that? So that goes onto there like that. That's now free. I don't understand though why that obviously got that the plunger had got stuck during the night. So I'm going to try and blame something again. Oh, you arse biscuit. Right, so it's not that. That's better than it was. What PSI? What am I? Where's my? Because my PSI doesn't work, but I can at least see if the needle's moving. Right. So if I turn this bad boy up a bit. I just wonder if there's something blocked somewhere, because that's making a. So I put Marima down there. That's not fixed. Figured anything. I've still got people watching. That's quite a shock. Right, so that's better than it was. See, this is the thing that I don't understand between the like same compressor, different gun, and it blows out. The Iwata comes out a lot higher PSI. And it did anyway before this thing's just gone and blocked on me. Hi, Jimmy. Right, so in theory that's now working. So that's me just not reading what I should. I shall start now, Morn, don't worry. I just wondered why that was doing what it was doing. I'll put that over there. I'll figure that out later. It reminds me of my youth. Right. Detail black. 0051 Createx. Wicked. I don't use anything else now for black. Does exactly what it says on the tin. It's for detail. And then check your mask for spiders. Don't twang it. A couple of old marbles or top depth screws. Helps agitate the bottle a bit more. Tiny bit of reducer into the window frames. That's alright. I don't understand what was wrong with that. It must have been a sticky plunger, so to speak. Tims. Number one done. Well, I'm not going to reduce this time because I wasn't really happy with that. I think it was too wet. I've never really put reducer into my paint. I've sort of just learnt the way around it. I'm not a particularly, what's the word, engineering type painter. I'll just use that, it's fine. I'm not one of these, oh, let's try putting a 10% of this into it and see what it does. That's just not me. Right, so now we can move on a bit quicker now. precipice. Do I want to go that? I'm going to go the other way up. I'm going to change that and get a better spacing. Because what I did is I had both circles to the top. But I'm going to run a circle to the bottom. Do it that way around. You see what I mean when I finish it? That at the moment it's not particularly, you can't really see. So there's two circles, two ovals. Each set I do with these is unique because they're never the same twice. They're always slightly different. The process is the same, they just might get stuck down at a slightly different angle, each shell. What I try and do is try and match one side to the other. So I might, if I'm doing a batch of like 5 or 6, they might all be just slightly different. Because there's no real way to I'm sure it's the same. The only reference point that you've got are the 2 points either side of the headlight, either end. So that one's not right now. Because you couldn't cut these in one and stick them on and stick them down. They'd be too tricky to do. So that's why it took me ages to figure out how to do this. Well, figure it out roughly. I wouldn't say I've got it anywhere near good. So my little reamer, there's not code for anything. So obviously that's the business end. Out. It's not as sharp as it used to be. That used to be really sharp. So the blunt end. How am I going to do this? There's not as much space in a headlight as a BBX. You know what? I think it looks too fussy. I'm not going to do it. I was going to. This is riveting, isn't it? I know. Trust me, it's very hard to write freehand without using your other hand to stabilise you. So I always like to try and practice on my hand to see if I can figure it out. And I'm getting better. Doesn't look like a 5-year-old's done it anymore. It's a good way of checking to make sure the needle's right as well. So I could turn the piece go up a tiny bit. I'm now reducing the spring tension in the because I've obviously taken it all apart. I think I need to take this gun apart and just give it a really good once over. Some proper cleaner and give it a. I think I've just misused it slightly. I don't think it's anything that it's not the gun's fault at all. So I'm not for one of these ones that takes the gun apart religiously and well, as you see, I didn't even know how it was made. I get them working and then leave them. And remembering my little screw up there, otherwise that would have given me an odd top edge. I find it way easier to put the mask up. I don't need something there. I find it way easier to weed the mask when it's stuck to the shell. It's much easier transferring it from the sheet to the. When I first started doing this would take me like an evening just to do one shell. I've got way faster at this as I've got more used to doing it. I still don't look very professional though. But then again, I could just show you oh, here's one I did earlier. But you're not going to learn anything. Well, watch the pain of going through doing it. Everyone's really quick to, and I'm guilty for it as well, of judging, going, oh, that's rubbish. But I'd like to think if people see the process a bit more, they realise it's actually really quite hard. And very, very time consuming. Right, this mask is near the end of its life, so to prolong it slightly, just a little bit of heat. And then I find a hot hairdryer on your lap is a little bit annoying. Oh. In the winter, it's a nice comfort. Oh, that's nice.
Hello, papi. How are you, baby, today? Okay? I just want to call to tell you that te quiero mucho, baby. I miss you. I can't wait to see you, papi. Your mommy misses you. So, anyways, I was just.
So it's really simple. You just do the hex pattern, and then you just go around the outside edge with and shade it, and take the sharp edge off. Hello, Errol. You all right? And then the art is to pick out the pattern I put in there without scratching the rest of it. Yeah, that's nice and neat. Good. I know I make this look incredibly easy. Not. I make it look really cack-handed. But when you're working with a scale that's like, where was the B? So that's the B I've just taken off the grill. No, Colin, I have spent more hours than I care to admit doing this. I kind of got it. I'm kind of got stubborn at it, and I want it to. I see how other people do it, and I'm like, you see some of their hex pattern, and their hex pattern's like the size of a 50p piece or a 20p piece, and it doesn't look right. The scale doesn't look right. So I've spent a lot of time sitting in front of my computer trying to get the right scale for my plan printer. My printer cutter. So did mine. Mine looked terrible. I mean, I don't say mine look great now, but when I first started, I was like, oh my God, I was so proud of them, but they just looked like someone's drawn them on with a crayon. Now at least they're a bit more uniform. It's just the right PSI and the right tools. And this is what irritates. This is my main peeve. Is I was told you're not a proper painter unless you do headlights and grills. Well, I see some painters trying to sell stuff for like really good money, and they're using the bloody the kit stickers. It's embarrassing. You just got to find your own style. That's all. I mean, look at other painters and see how they do it. That's all I did. I looked at the great Mark Reinhard shells, his painter, which is TD, and I watched how he did his. Well, I've looked at his because Mark very kindly sent me one of his shells, signed. I have a Mark Reinhard signed shell, and I watched how he did it. Well, I looked at it and reverse engineered it, and then made my own. I'd done my own pattern anyway before that. It's nice to see I think you can learn a lot from looking at how a painter's done something. But lights and grills are an airbrush's signature. So you just got to find your own style. And the main thing is it's absolutely tons of hours practice. It really is. If it was easy, I wouldn't want to do it. Because I've really struggled with it. I have assigned Hagberg as well. So I'm not trying to play top trumps. I've got a Hagberg and a Reinhard. Obviously, I respect both of them as drivers. I mean, they're like aliens when it comes to driving, but they've both got different painters. One's Japanese and one's Italian. That's the best bit of advice I can give you is watch how the proper painters do it and do your own thing. I spent a long time trying to copy other people and then realised that it wasn't getting me anywhere. Because it's like, this is going to sound odd. It's like, I think painting's a bit like handwriting. We've all got our own individual way of doing it. So when you're trying to copy someone else's style, you can't paint like somebody else. Well, that's very kind, Morn. I would like to be, my aim is to be known and respected. That's it, just respected and... Yeah, but your handwriting's unique though, isn't it, Colin? No one's going to have the same... Just to see what I'm getting at, it's like you might do things a certain way that someone else won't, and they won't want to do it like that. Just trying to copy someone else's, it's like trying to copy someone's handwriting. I think I'm making sense. That's looking really nice. I've got a good set of hexes on those. I'm pleased with them. I'm not even going to look, I'm just going to put them up to the camera. Yes, exactly. Yeah, tattoo art. There we go. Why didn't I should say that instead? Tattoo artist. That's a much better way of describing it. And this is what my main bugbear is. I have just spent how long doing that? And this other dude that's selling his shells for more than mine is using the stickers, which take maybe 2 minutes to cut and put on. He's not doing this. I just don't understand how he's got the front to sell stuff. I'm not going to say who it is. Just look for a painter without any lights and grills. the money he wants as well. I'm like, that's some real brass neck, that is. That's a much better way of describing it. Tattoo, yeah. I reckon I could be really good at that if I had a go. I just might need a couple of goes. Has anyone got an arm I can borrow just to practice on? You know what I mean? I'll give it back. Might not be very good though. Can you imagine doing someone's tattoo and going, as they're going along, it's like, right, how does this rub off? You're like, ooh, yeah, that's a mistake. Yeah, I've learnt my way. I'm just showing off my way. I just remember the whole reason for going live in the first place wasn't for some massive ego trip, which it is now. It was to prove to somebody why I wanted the money I wanted, because they won. Well, it can't take you that long to do it. I was like, okay, well, you watch this. Yeah, sort of rubbing it with the gloves, see if it would come off. Like, whoops. Yeah, that's kind of on you now. It's just a different way of getting the ink into the surface, isn't it? It's just a needle. Could you imagine halfway through someone's tattoo going, yeah, I need to redo this gun, it's terrible. It's really not doing what I want it to. And then just carrying on. Person would have an absolute shit fit. Whereas I'm just going, right, I need to redo my gun after this. I'll still carry on. It's not what I want it to do, though. No, they don't. They monetize absolutely everything, and they exactly that. So this is another reason for showing this. I mean, one, I like to talk. Two, it's a good ego boost, and three, it justifies what I'm getting at. There's nothing prouder than watching one of my shells go round, and now people can know the sort of effort. I mean, because I've learnt in public as well, so I've had a lot of, what's the word, creative mistakes. Is that a really polite way of saying it? And so I've learnt in public, and people have still got quite a dumb view on me because of, I might have screwed a shell up for them about 6 years ago. Well, some of them are now watching my live feeds. But it's very difficult to yeah, that's because you've got to make sure you put your guard on. If you've got your guard on, then you don't put your finger, you don't backwash it. So for those on Facebook, I'm talking to somebody on Twitch now. Yeah, if you've got the guard on your airbrush, you can't stab yourself. Now, tweezers, this is a whole new level of pain when you get some decent tweezers. You only drop them once, and you will learn not to try and catch them with your knee, because they kind of stick in your knee. You're like, why is it stuck in my knee? And it's like twang, 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 twang. Yeah, because I've learned enough now to pass on bits and bobs. But as I'm not the most descriptive when it comes to explaining myself, it's just much easier to show people. Right, this is how I do it. Don't do this, but this is roughly what I'm trying to yeah, does that make... Yeah, so it's much easier to do this. The first thing to do, most basic thing to do is buy the best mask you can find. The one you find the most comfortable. I'm on about my third mask now, but this is the most comfortable one I've found. But it's finding one that suits your face. I mean, I have a very cool beard. Said no one ever. So finding a mask that seals enough for my beard is a bit of a struggle. Then it's a good set of tweezers, and then you can spend an absolute shit ton on guns. I actually built this whole shed from scratch. If you go, I think I called it on my albums and on my Facebook. I think I called it "Building the World Headquarters," and I spent like World Cup 2018 building it and listening to it on the radio while I was building this in the garden in the summer. And this 4 meters by 3 meters, and then like a wedge shape, so the water drains off onto the old shed. And I got aircon in here now, thanks to Mr. Study. I got Wi-Fi thanks to Mr. Hobson, because he helped me sort of get my internet out to the... I'm using a little Bambi 9 litre. So that's a couple £100. I reckon if you were starting from scratch, a good compressor, an average gun, you're probably looking at a good £500. And then there's all the paint materials, which you can spend a small fortune on as well. And you have to keep replacing. So like that gun there, that's £160, and then the compressor is about 320. So you won't get much change out of £500 for a decent one. You can buy these more hobby-based compressors. They just don't hold the PSI very well. You only need a little 9 litre. 9 litres enough. That's enough to keep a constant pressure. They like the subscription to do this, to go between Twitch, YouTube and Facebook. I know it's a little bit fancy and everything, but that's still £15 a month, which is obviously adds up over the course of the year. How much is... Right, can you do a little search for me? How much is 550 Rand converted into UK pounds? Can you put that on the chat so I can see? Do you mind? Because I don't know how much a Rand is in relation to a pound. Just be interested to see. Because obviously I know what's involved. What is this on the radio? Jeez, even I'm not liking this. So I'm just finding something to listen to. Won't be a second. Problem with YouTube, watching YouTube through Sky gives you a really special way of watching it, and you can't, when you started watching something, you can't then rewind it. Excellent, found it. Cool. That's reasonably cheap. So let's have to see what his design was like. There we go. That's a nice paint job. My pet hate is the hexes are too big. That's just a personal taste thing though, isn't it? I have none. I think that's good value. Well, to put it into perspective, I am not including the body shell. I'm £35, so I'm a little bit dearer. And then there's the shell cost on top, and then there's also the small matter of post to South Africa. So it would work out a reasonably dear exercise. Right, we can now actually get to some colour. No, we can't, not yet. No, we can, because I've got to do the lights now. Right, so. Never waste paint, always try and pour it back into where it comes from. Well, what I do is I have my paint. So that's the bottle I'm using at the moment. I've got a bit of tape on it to say which one it is. So that's the main tape, and then that's the one I pour the stuff back into I have left over, just in case it taints it at all. And then I use that for backing and stuff like that. And I have the same with the black as well. I have a side chick. So I have a good one that's neat, that's brand new, and then I have an old one that I pour it back into so that I don't cross contaminate. There's nothing worse than screwing up a whole bottle of paint just because you're trying to be a tight ass. And also what I do is I put a bit of reducer to get the last little bit out of there. So if I put that in there. So this is a child's, or just a cheap paintbrush. I do sell them, by the way. Mix it up there with whatever's left in there, because it's a waste of paint. Even when it's mixed, it's still useful. And then that's the old one. So make sure the guard's on when you put your finger over it. Don't do a Colin. So this is all just for lights and grills at the moment, and some window frames. We're going to get to the creative bit in a minute, the bit that I find quite fun. And I found definitely with this style I'm about to do tonight, less is more, because it will just look like a kid's painting if you're not careful. Remember when I first did it, and it was just like, oh my god, that looks wicked. And then you look back at it after a few months and go, what was I doing? There's always more paint in there than you think. So when you think you've got it clean, it still throws up a bit more. And that's an old 2 litre water bottle cut down, and I just pour my old stuff into that. And then I have an old cardboard box underneath my... This is a pallet. This is a pallet. And then underneath the pallet, where the legs still are for the pallet, I've got a cardboard box. And I spray into the cardboard box to get rid of all the... And inside the cardboard box, I've got old bits of carpet to sort of soak up the odds and sods. Because basically I needed something that my brace would attach to. And this is like a little stand. The stand's very, very useful as well. Because when I first started, I was using a pair of pliers, sellotaped, so that the handles... Where are they? Can't find them. So basically you'd have the pair of pliers sticking, the handle sticking out, and then you'd sort of rest the gun sideways in the handles, which is fine if you're, and then the tape comes off. There you are, I found them. So then the tape would come off, then all of a sudden your £150 paintbrush, airbrush would hit the floor and break the needle. So these are actually really useful, and they're only a tenner. Right, so on this shell we are using orange and green and white. So I'm going to do the brake lights in orange, so it ties it together. I need a little bit because this is just more shading than anything else. I might do the window frames actually as well. This is what was taking the time to cut, was this window frame. And there's a definite knack to being able to cut those out. Eat, sleep, paint, repeat. There you go, there's a phrase. I just thought of that. Neon orange, HN25020. Bobbinox. I know you, because you use orange, don't you, on your shelf, Ian? Were you happy with the two you put pictures up this morning of? They look good. I wish I could do that and just like, I just like, ooh, shiny, and then I do a different colour, then I'm like, oh, I need to try this. And then by the time I thought about it, the design I like is probably about 10 shells ago, and I'm on to something else. That's why I like painting for other people now, because I get to practice all these things that I wouldn't do for me. And you get some really cool ideas that you wouldn't even consider that some people want. And you're like, oh, that's a really good idea. So like somebody wanted a shelf, was it just before Christmas or just after? And he wanted Pac-Man chasing some aliens around the boot of his car. Hey, I just hit 100 messages for this evening. Thank you very much. Ian, you were number 100. Boom. Should do some sort of prize, like a high five. Yay. Well done. That was awkward. So Restream have just sent me a message saying, congratulations, that's 100 messages. This is the neon orange. The correct, I mean, I have got, that's Createx, isn't it? And that's, I don't know, I really struggle with neon colours. They don't seem to, you definitely can't do any shading with them. It's really hit and miss. So it could be that the pigments are different in this one, because it does feel like this one sprays better than other ones I've got. There's no reason for it. It's not treated any differently. Right, now we get to the fun bit. I should. I'm just going to be lazy and it's got to be backed, so I'll just back it with. I'm just going to, because it's already got. It's only going to be backed with white. I'll just put some white through. Yeah, I'd agree. That's neon red, and that's the pink, and then that's the orange. Now, there's a lot more colour variation when I got them in front of me, but on the camera, you just really can't tell. Oh, it's a bit darker. The other two, you don't know which one's which. I need to sort myself out a sort of paint schedule, because at the moment I'm painting when I please, because obviously there's no real life going on. I am going to work, but I'm not working. You just really know what I mean. So I need to sort myself out some sort of routine. I mean, would everyone be happy with me just sort of messaging on that morning saying, I'll be online at 8:30, or do you want me to sort of pick a day and try and stick to it? What do people reckon? What would make more sense? Because I'm hoping to still be relevant after the lockdown's finished. I mean, I'll still be doing it, I just don't know if anyone will be watching. Right, so now we can get a bit creative with it. So, I've kind of drawn what we're doing on this one, and then I'll match it on that one after I've done it. So, I now get to do the cool bit. This is what upsets me, because obviously this has been a lot of effort. We'll just get some red and put some white in it, make your own. You'll have to try not to turn it pink though. Ta-da! In one. I think 8:30 is kind of a reasonable time, because I mean that gives me a chance to get my kids to bed. I think, yeah. Also, I think you're right there, Colin. If I have like a set day and I'm not feeling it, everyone will be expecting it, and I'm not there. I mean, like, I won't paint on a Friday night because I crank the radio up, and that's going to get me into all sorts of trouble with copyrights. So I sit out here and paint and listen to the normal radio on a Friday night. I like listening to Radio 1, to their dance sets, and I'll get into all sorts of trouble if I stream that, and I like listening to that. So I don't think a set day is actually going to do me any favours. But I think that if I was to do what I did this afternoon, and just say I'll be online at 8:30, then that's if I gave like, I don't know, 4 hours notice. That's I'd like to think that's enough time to get all the thousands of people ready to watch it. That's a joke. Could be tens of thousands. As I said earlier, I couldn't believe the amount of people that watch this painter. I was just like, really? It's not even that good. I'd like to think my angle, if there is such a thing, is that I'm not out to try and make myself look good. I'm just doing what I do, which is mostly winging it. When I get asked a technical question, I'm like, yeah, okay. So I have got to get a bit more savvy. But then again, it's my experience. And it's like, life lessons with Basil. Right, now, so I have found, next stage, change subject, get away from my bad jokes. If you have a brand new brush, they're too soft. If you have a brush that's absolutely knackered, it's just what you want, but it really hurts your fingers. Well, the thing to do is to mix up an absolute ton of it. And make sure you keep mixing it. Here I've got my own grey I made. And it's in other tins are available. But that smells well odd. It still smells of Branston pickle. What you make sure is you put a bit of plastic between the lid and the jar, and it should still be. You should be able to get it open still. Right. So a knackered old brush. Yeah, I know. I'd struggle to maintain this level of immense humour if it was some sort of cheap veil. This is me. I am naturally this funny. I am a little bit sarcastic as well, I admit, but I'm mostly funny. Although I've had my nose broken 3 times when I've been a bit too quick to answer back when I was younger. Only 3 times though. I learnt by the 3rd. Never my fault. My mouth was just too fast. Right, knackered old brush. The bottom of an old bottle. And then I'm not going to use my nice paint, I'm going to use some old crappy stuff. That was new. Right, now it's just about being confident I am incredibly modest. Yes, that's one of my best traits. I am grinning because I'm so funny. Right, so I've done points where I want the thing to go, but they're not going to necessarily go where they want. They're going to kind of go where they want, and it's a case of trying to react to what it does, but not to put too much paint on, and just kind of let it do what it wants. Looks pretty terrible to start with, I admit. And don't do too much at once, because you don't want to load this up too heavily. What you're looking for is good separate strokes of paint, if that makes sense. You want to make it look like a manga film. That's a really good one there on that roof, look. Might leave that just like that. And a knackered old bro. I really shouldn't be telling you all this. This is like one of my super secret. This took me a long time to figure this out. This is one of the ones it's one of the most simplest ones to do. It's also one of the hardest. Me being modest again. Because it can look terrible. I remember asking Mr. Bitty for advice, and he was apprehensive, shall we say. I got enough out of him to figure it out, but I could tell that there was a little bit of like, you need to figure it out yourself. Don't worry that it's got all blobs and bits in a minute. I've got some super secret to... All right, Tony, where have you been? Grinder? The flavour is we're doing manga tonight. So what you're after is sort of half. It's getting definition out of some of the waves with the brush. No grinding tonight. It must really sort of knackered the old routine, not being able to go out and grind or whatever the term is. So I was just worried that was on the inside then. I was just like, how'd that get there? Oh, so it was kind of a grinder thing then. I know. I did listen to their first couple. I do know Anthony quite well, and his motorcycle club is the next little village to me. See him go past on his hog, whatever the term is, bike. And we've all had a run in with the old motor mail. Right, let's get these to kind of look similar. So that one goes up like that. But it's very difficult when you've got a brush that really wants to do what it wants. So they will be unique. There you go, that looks wicked. And modest. You could do these 100 times and they would never look the same twice. Yeah, lock here. Hold on. I used to race with him at Maritime. And Stuart. Everyone knows Stuart. This is going really nicely. This is going to look cool. This is just the first stage of this. You then got to go. I'll do the super secret bit in a minute. Obviously, I will tell you what I'm doing. It's trying not to overdo it though. These can look a little bit. Shit. Hopefully this will grow. I'd like to think I'm not doing anything to upset, apart from just talking too much. But I don't see the point in trying to make this look like what it isn't. It's me mucking about in my shed in the evenings, talking to randoms and soon-to-be friends on the internet. I'm getting a better webcam though, so we'll have a better webcam next month. It's payday soon. No, it's not. No, I've been given one. What have I said that for? I'm being given a webcam by my friend. Right. They're really expensive. Those nice ones. Yeah, Tony, if you see where Morn's from, that'll shock you. Hashtag worldwide. Where are you, Tony? I can't remember where you said you're from. I don't want to insult you by trying to remember, because I was talking to quite a few people, being world renowned as I am now, and I can't remember where exactly you said you're from. I've got an idea, but I don't want to insult you. I mean, I'll insult you anyway, but I don't want to say where I think you're from and get it wrong. Right, so now, same sort of PSI as before, with still black in it. You still want to make it look like the colour can still come through, so you're not trying to completely block it in. Still want it to have these little bits and bobs sticking through. This has worked really nicely tonight. I'm really quite pleased with this effect. Right, then I'm not allowed to put leopard print on. He's told me that. That's annoying. I like putting leopard print on things.
She tried the last one on, couldn't speak, fell off, and now she just wanders along, thinking nothing.
This is what I enjoy. It's sort of freehand. And as I keep saying, less is more. This is what won. We had a race meeting at Rugs, their XRS style meeting for the X-Ray, and there was a concourse, and my version of this won it. So this is a concourse winning design. I just remembered that. I'd forgotten that. It's the first time I've won a concourse. And it's with the design that takes the least amount of effort. That says a lot, doesn't it? Because it's just the personal opinion of whoever picks it. I cried. Obviously with joy. Not anger that the other 7 shells that were mine didn't get through, and it was the one that had taken me 20 minutes. Well, this one's a little bit more patchy, so this needs a bit more filling in. Thank you. I consider this more to be like more arty than I think normal traditional painting with cut and peel. I think is very much is very similar to peel and paint by numbers. I think the right word then. I sell those, by the way, as well. So paint by numbers is a thing. It's like art, sheet in art, and I think that. Once you've learned how to cut liquid mask, you can do all sorts of pretty patterns. You don't really need to be able to. Yes, you've got to be able to paint, but paint's not the. Does that make sense? It's you can wangle it a little bit if you can good at cut. You can't paint a good shell if you've cut a bad design. Right, so that is now ready for the next bit, which is a little bit like, yeah, right. So, how mental am I going to go with this? Probably a lot. No, it's exactly that, winging it. There is no way you can have this as a technique where you're going to go, oh yeah, this is so going to do this and this is going to do that. It's just going to do what it's going to do. That's why I said to you, you could do this 100 times and they're never the same. You can't tell my what I was feeling when I did it, like one of them pretentious art critics. So this was Basil when he was cold. This was Basil when he was talking too much. Right, so let's just double check which way round I have the colour, because I can't remember. So we have a green boot, and we have orange around the doors. We have orange around the windows as well now. So I have orange in, I had orange in my gun, I haven't now. Damn it. Well, I've actually I finished with the black now. Woo! No, I haven't. I've got to do the flicky bit. How did I do? Right, so I just did the black and then did a... Right, okay, right. So this is the thing I figured out for myself the other day. And this, I haven't picked this off anybody else. This is purely my way of doing this. Are you ready? Glove. Finger. Oh my God. That feels very liberating. Yes, that's definitely Basil when he's been talking too much. Yes, yes. That's it. That's all I'm going to do on that. So that's that one. And then this one is going to be whatever this one's going to be. Like I say, I took a lot of inspiration from seagulls. Yeah. Because I used to just put this on with a brush and flick it with a brush. All I was getting was loads of little dots, which is obvious, but I wasn't getting any nice big flicks like that. And I only found this out the other day. And I was like, oh, that looks wicked. That's just like how the proper people do it. So it's all in the flick. Yeah, I've just given away two of my bestest, most secretive thingies. And a few of you will know also that my name isn't Basil. My name is George. There you go, I've just told you everything. No secrets now. I just like the fact that Basil, if anyone from the UK will know, Basil Brush, when I was growing up, was a cartoon character. Hence the fox on my emblem on my windscreen. And Basil Brush, and then I changed it to Basil Airbrush. And I'm soon going to be having Basil Airbrush Flush, which is going to be my own reducer and cleaner, hopefully. I'm still waiting for chemicals to turn up, which is hard to get hold of at the moment because everyone's making hand sanitizer. Quite rightly. Anyway, so everyone, what does everyone think of my new flicky technique? Where's it says I've got 5 people watching on Facebook. one of those is actually me watching myself because I can. So that means there's 4 people watching on Facebook. I don't know how many people's watching on the other 2. I do feel like I've slightly diluted the people that watch on Facebook onto different mediums, and it might not be as healthy. But there's no benefit to being on Facebook because it's a much lower resolution, or camera resolution, and the microphone on Facebook is terrible. Got this whistle to it. No, I need to think about that because I'm thinking about I'm going to try and do a Basil. I might just do a generic fox. Oh, really? There's 3 on Twitch. Cool. Obviously, my traditional logo is probably a bit too close to the copyright of who I might have been copying in the past. Just the fact I changed the tail to a paintbrush. But I don't want to start selling something and then, because at the moment I'm just pissing about in my shed. Got some stickers made and just paint my own shells. But I think if I got a little bit more serious, then I could get into all sorts of trouble. So I need to, I think sadly I might have to drop the current logo picture of my fox and go for a generic fox. Which will be sad, but I think I'd get into trouble if I start trying to sell this stuff, that is, which is the plan, because I'm going to sell it in my art shop, hopefully, once I figure out my ratio. Now, if you think about it, you see, like, if you've got the black now is. But if you do a neon colour, then flick the black against the neon, then back the neon with white, the black suddenly becomes a darker colour of whatever neon colour you've just put as the base, if that makes sense. So you could do, I'm going to do this theory in orange and the green. So I'm going to have darker green flicks and then darker orange flicks, just from the fact that I've built the colour up differently. Even though it's exactly the same process, you just back it or do the timing of it slightly differently. I'm moving my hands a lot because No, I don't think it's strong enough to have my own. I'm just it will be still called Basil, but it just won't be a particular fox. It'll be a generic fox. So it's Basil Airbrush because I airbrush, and Flush. Right, now we can put some proper colour on it. So we're going to do a green boot. So I can turn the PSI up a little bit now, because we're not really going for definition. Don't want too high a PSI, I should turn it down again. Because I don't want it to, because there's no mask on the shell, you've got to be very careful where you aim. It's slowly coming out now. You can kind of see what I'm getting at. Less is more, remember. Right, now you have to do this at very low PSI so it doesn't add too much shadows around the rest of the shell. And that's it. Sweet. Right, then a bit of tissue. Get the dough sparks out the front. Can't do the roof because there's a big blob of black still there that's still drying. People do say to use rubbing alcohol. I just find tissue works because I can't be asked to buy rubbing alcohol. Where it is? Ah, there it is. Oh, that was a good splat. Oh, that was another good one. Woo! Oh, that was a wicked one. I'm so pleased I figured this out. Up to now I've just had stupid dots. Yeah, so kept that secret. Yeah, you can see this one from about a mile off. As I said, the trick is to make it look balanced. You wait till this gets hit with the white. This is going to pop like a what's in a minute. This isn't very bright yet. Now this is where I bring out the reduced white. It seems to cover better. So that's super thin. You can't see that some of these are actually green, and some of these are off red. You have the black as well. I really like that. Thank you very much, Paul. Just on the YouTube. Is it looking good? Wicked. That's nice to hear, because I've been putting a lot of effort into it, or trying to. I want it to look right. No, not enough of that. But Paul, I'm getting a better camera soon. Oh, I don't know which one it is. It's one that's been gifted to me. I don't know what that. It's upsetting the camera, all that white. I think it is a Logitech. You'll be able to do HD and 1080p, because that's the thing apparently. I can't say where it's coming from though, because it's. Oh, what am I streaming on at the moment? I'm using a Microsoft something I bought out of Argos for 20 quid. I went and bought something that did the maximum Facebook allowed, so that's what 720p. So now I've got the Twitch and the YouTube. I can have slightly higher def, so It retailed, the one that I'm being gifted, I'm not saying where it's coming from, the bump I've seen, it should be about 120 quid, and it's just been given to me. It's someone's old one. I don't want it anymore. Well, that's it, if anyone asks. It's not stolen, by the way, if anyone asks. Oh, which platform? What do you mean platforms? I'm all new to this. You mean what? Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch? See, I could go and watch. All right. I could go and look at some other people's streams and stuff and basically nick some ideas, but I don't think that's particularly honest way of. I need to figure stuff out myself, and I'm slowly getting there. Yes, I'm on Restream. I chose Restream rather than the one that you suggested. I've had to pay for it to get to do all three at once. The free software wasn't really good enough, and it would put a watermark across it, and obviously they know it's not good enough. That's why they give it away. Yeah, then it's my own mistakes, isn't it? And I did watch one video of this lady said how to be honest, and I was like, why wouldn't you be? I was like, oh, I see. Whereas I'd rather show that my airbrush clugs, it does. I've shown that tonight. I showed that the other night as well because I couldn't be asked to clean it, and it did it again. So I'm quite happy to muddle along and make myself look an arse. Can I have overlays? What's an overlay? I don't know what that means. All right, we are finished. Well, do the windows yet, as in peel them off. I'm very tempted to take the overspray off because I know this is for my pit buddy, and I know he's already cut them out, but it's not really my place to take them off. And I was going to sit and do my window masks, but I thought I'd be done a lot sooner than this. Oh, Paul, if you would help me out, that would be really, because like you're like professional at this stuff. I haven't watched any of Billy's stuff, to be honest. I don't really want to sit and watch someone play computer games. That's just a personal thing. So I don't understand why I can understand why people are watching this, because this is actually slightly informative, and it's me also prattling on. My kids sit and watch YouTube, and they watch other kids unwrap toys, and I'm like, I do not get that. I don't understand that, and I don't really understand somebody else watching somebody else play a computer game. I know it's popular, I just don't understand why. I would like to think this is kind of informative, because this is like slightly creative. Well, that's the spin I'm putting on it. Well, I'll have to give you my... What do I have to do? Do I have to give you like control of my page or something, and you can sort of work your magic? I assume you can do it remotely. Sorry, for the ones on Facebook, I'm talking on YouTube, so I'm not talking to myself, I promise. I am talking to myself, but I'm talking to the stream, because I have a stream up here that it does Facebook Twitch and YouTube, and so the messages come through from whoever's messaging me. So it looks on Facebook like I'm talking to myself, which I am, but I'm also answering other messages. That would be wicked. Although I do need to have a think about my logo, because I'm not sure. I'm going to be making my own masks, paint reducer, and cleaner. So I don't know if I can. If I should really have I should have my own now rather than pinching somebody else's. Well, it's not pinching somebody else's; it's twisting somebody else's around, isn't it? As in, like a kid's cartoon character, so I don't get into trouble. But thank you, Paul. I will take you up on that offer. Right, so thank you all very much for watching. Kind of done. So you can't see the green. Well, you can a little bit. But where the black is flicked onto the green, it's turned the black a slight shade of green. And then into the red as well, the orange, it's turned it slightly off. It's not as really defined as I wanted it to be. Other than that, I'm really super happy. I mean, the lights, the grills have come out wicked, if I do say so. And I mean, you can see how crazy this goes. You can make this really absolutely nuts, and it's fairly straightforward. It's just trying to rein it in so it doesn't look like it's. Yeah, that is just. I don't understand how I can't have you log into Restream. No, Ian, I couldn't. It's Bitty's just brought his out. It would just look a little bit tit for tat, wouldn't it? If he's done his, oh, I'm going to do mine, and I won't sell half as many as he does. I mean, I did offer people a service for that, and I had literally 2 people in about 3 months. All I've done is send out 2 A4 envelopes. No, 3 people I've done that to. I cut some masks for them. I did think about it, yeah, but I haven't really had enough people entertain the idea. And my little cutter, I mean, to do my the grill and the lights and that, I was charging like seven quid, and then I cut it into little bits and stick it in an envelope and post it. But obviously, I don't have these the same size as my ones. Oh, Ian, we can have a chat after. Not tonight though. I'm going to bed because I need to get some shut eye before I go work again in the morning. I must admit, I woke up this morning and I was a bit like, oh, it's morning. So I got to bed at 1:30 or 1:30. It was nearer 2, and then got up for work at 8. And must admit, I was a little bit Walking Dead. They're like all the people standing outside the bank queuing up. They look like Walking Dead as well. Although most of the Walking Dead, the ones standing outside the bank, look like they were just wearing the clothes they got left over from what the armpit. It's obviously wash day, so they've all got their tatty old stuff on. There's one dude standing there, he had tracksuit bottoms on, and the tracksuit bottom was rode up his calf. There was obviously like a gang style, and I was just like, that's a lot of effort to make that look that bad. Anyway, I'm digressing. I'm starting to social comment, which is really going to get me into trouble. Right, thank you very much for watching. So I don't know why I did a thumbs down. Like my YouTube thingy, subscribe, hit the bell. I don't know what the terms are, and if you could find me on Twitch, that would help me out massively, because world domination, you know, it's the thing. eventually, just very slowly. I'm now going to clean my brushes out. I promise. I'm not going to just leave them there. Honest. Right. Good night, good morning, and good evening. Thanks for watching.